Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. Guys, it's been a hot sunny day. Started off cool, but boy, the heat sure did come in when the sun goes out. Wanda and I were talking about this today. If you get in the shade, it's very cool. But as soon as you step out in that sun, it's like holding a magnifying glass on you. It just starts burning you. And this time of the year, normally Wanda and I have lots of projects to do, but because of the heat this summer, not being able to get out in it and work, and then our normal chores this time of the year, and then on top of that, the drought, there was so much that we did not get done that we're having to bust it now. I mean, we're running wide open, daylight to dark now, trying to get caught up, and it's starting to take its toll on us. And Wanda today, she just got, it just got to be too much for her. She had to go to the house and, she had to just cool off because it just got too hot. And I know for someone up north that just doesn't seem possible, but I'm telling you, it's amazing how it's happening. And it just, as I sat and thought about this, because I had to take frequent breaks because I had to work right out in the bald open sun. And had to take a lot of breaks today. And, as I was taking breaks, I thought about you guys. Over the past 4 years of doing YouTube, y'all have sent us so many comments, so many stories. And, I would never mention anybody's names or anything like that. But the stories most of them were stories of things that you're facing. And as I thought about that, today sitting here on the porch, I was like, what does it take to be a true survivor? And I began to think about a lot of you guys' stories, some of my own stories. And guys, and I come up there, and most all of them have one thing in common, and I'll get to that at some point. But as I'm sitting here taking a break right now from working, I'm thinking back on stories people have sent. Danny, we planted our crops this year. We planted all we had. We spent all of our money on the fertilizer and the seeds and stuff, and the rains came. And they just came. And they came. They didn't let up. And we lost everything. We don't have the money to go and buy more fertilizer and more soil amendments and more seeds. I guess we're just going to have to trust the Lord and try to buy what we can from the store to stock up on. Guys, I've heard that story so many times, especially this year. And then, Danny, we planted our gardens. Our gardens all got up. And they were doing beautiful. We had vegetables on everything. And all of a sudden, the insects come through and just literally wiped everything out. We couldn't grow anything. There was stink bugs everywhere. The squash vine borers, the deer, the squirrels, all these things. Danny, they just ate up everything we had. And we don't have money to redo it, or we don't have time. Our growing season is not long enough to replant. Danny, we planted everything we had this year. Everything come up, it was doing really, really good. We was beginning to harvest. And it looked like we were going to have a bumper crop this year because everything was just so good looking. And then all of a sudden, it hailed. And the hail destroyed everything we had. I'm heartbroken, Danny. I don't know what to do. Should I replant? Should I not? I put so much time and effort into these gardens. And it looks like it's all for nothing. Danny, we planted this year. We had the best year we've ever had. Our stuff was doing really well. We started harvesting. I mean, we were putting up stuff, and then the rains quit. And Danny, the drought set in and the heat. And the fruit started diminishing. The vegetables started diminishing. And we was only able to harvest about half of what we was able to. We're thankful we got that. But it's not going to be enough for us to be sustainable through the winter. We're going to have to try to go to a U-Picket or a farmer's market to subsidize. What should I do, Danny? Is that the right thing to do? Danny, we were planting a garden this year. We got it all planted and we got everything put in, ready to go. And my spouse got sick. They got cancer. And now all my time is devoted to them. And I don't have time to tend the garden. I don't know what to do. We're going to lose it all. But my loved one needs my attention. What should I do? I don't know what to do. Because this is our food for the winter. Danny, we planted everything we had this year. We planted all of our raised beds and everything. And not one seed came up. I'm so tired of failing. I'm ready to just give up. Guys, I get all these stories. And you know, we're no exception. We have failures. And this year alone, Wanda and I purposely showed the failures this year. Because we didn't want everybody to think that here at Deep South Homestead, everything's perfect all the time. And all of our crops do good. We do have lots of crops that do good. But we also have failures. And once I began to get all these stories and emails and stuff in, I told Wanda, I said, we need to put our failures up so that people don't feel like they're alone. And that's why this year we've done that. And in years past, we would show some of our failures. I mean, the wind would blow our corn down, or something wouldn't grow just right. The squash, we didn't harvest any squash hardly, or the peppers weren't as good as they should have been, or tomato worms hit the tomato plants, things like that. But guys, the harsh reality of it is, with the weather anomalies we're having now, there is no guarantees. It's not like it used to be. I mean, my daddy and me used to plant gardens, and I mean, we harvested so much stuff, it was pathetic. I mean, we had a few insects, but it wasn't bad. The weather was good. It would rain about the right time. It'd give you an inch of rain a week. The weather, we didn't have severe storms all the time. I mean, now if it rains, we get 3 to 5 inches in a 24-hour period. It's not like we can just have a steady rain and then it just goes away like it used to, or have a little thunder shower pop up and it rains for an hour or two and then it bears off before dark. It don't work like that no more. Guys, what does it take to survive the new earth that we live on? You know, as I read y'all's stories and I thought about my own, I like to look for positive things. I read stories about people who were survivors. I read stories about a guy who, him and his buddy, were flying a military plane and it was shot down and they had to eject out and they landed into a body of water. And it was just assumed that they went down with the plane and they floated out there for days. And his buddy finally just gave up and he just drowned. He was tired of holding on to a little piece of wood that they had there, that they had found, a part of the plane or whatever it was in the story. And the other guy floated around out there for almost a week. And all of a sudden, someone found him. And he came in and he told his story about how his buddy had stayed right there with him. And then all of a sudden, he said, man, it ain't worth it. I'm just going to give up. And he just let go of the wood and floated off out in the water. And finally, he just drowned. And his buddy made it. There was another story about a young lady who had come down with cancer, and her and her mama had cancer at the same time. It was ironic that they would have them both at the same time, and the same types of cancer. And the young girl would fight and fight, going through the treatments of Mama would, and finally the mom just said, you know, sweetheart, I love you. I just can't keep doing this. And she would say, Mom, don't give up. Just don't give up, Mom. Come on, let's fight this together. And finally the mom just says, you know, it's just not worth it to me. And she passed away and left the daughter behind. The daughter recovered, and as far as I know to this day, she's still doing okay. And guys, there was a story about a man who had a family, and he lost his job. They lost their home because they couldn't pay for it. They lost their insurances. They had nothing. They were out on the street. They were going from shelter to shelter. And finally, they just split up. And the dad kept the kids. He stayed in a shelter. And the story never told what happened to the mom. But the dad eventually got back on his feet, got a little job, and was able to get back up and got going, and was able to purchase a place again and raise his kids on till they were mature. And guys, these stories, they all have one thing in common. Every story that I've told today had one thing in common. I looked for that same comment in every story I read, and it was there. And it was this: Danny, it was because I believed in a higher power. I believed that there was someone out there greater than I was that was guiding my path and was leading me through everything. And that he would not forsake me, and that he would not leave me, and that he would be there with me through whatever I went through. This was in every story that I've told you today. And guys, that's the true secret behind surviving. Someone here you're looking at who taught survival for a while. Survival is 90% mental. It's about 10% physical. I don't care how physically fit you are, if you're not mentally strong enough and mentally capable of doing what you need to do to survive, you will fail. Part of the mentality, even in survival, is believing in something that's greater than you are. And guys, that is the true reason for success. Those that survive go on to be great people usually. They go on to succeed because they believe that there's grace. They believe that there's something guiding their footprints and their path. They believe in in a higher power other than themselves. And guys, I'm here to tell you today, no matter what you're facing, and I don't know who this is for because it's for somebody. I don't know what you're facing today, but whatever it is, don't give up. Hang in there. Put your faith in a higher power, because that's where the true meaning behind surviving comes from. Guys, it may be for me in the long run. I don't know. It's just that this is what was laid on my heart. And I wanted to put it out there. It's not a long video, but it's one that needed to be told. So, guys, take time. Think about Porch Time today. Think about what it means to you. Think about, are you a survivor? And if you think you are, ask yourself the question, do I believe in a higher power that will see me through this? Because the answer is, if you do, then you're very likely to succeed and survive. If not, it's a good chance you will fail. As I sat in an oncologist's office with my former wife, waiting to see him, he came in from the room down below and sat down and just shook his head. And I said, "Sir, are you okay?" And he said, "Well, I got a new patient today, and they won't make it." I said, "How do you know?" He said, "Because of their mentality and because of their belief. They just won't make it. I've been doing this too many years. Your wife will live for quite a while, but that lady right down there is not going to make it very long because she has no support in her faith. She doesn't have any faith. She's angry." And I said, "Wow." And you know, he was right. My wife went on to live 6 more years and had a good life. But that lady, he told us, we went back, I think on like a 3rd or 4th week, she'd already passed away. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. Put your faith in the one above and believe that he will help you to survive. Keep your eyes on him, because we've got some rough waters ahead, guys. Thank you, guys, from Deep South Homestead.